hello. Like always, there's always going to be a camera issue and whatnot. Blah 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 blah. Welcome back to the Random Fandom. I'm your host, RavenWood, and welcome back to RavenWood Reads, the Artificer. Okay, so okay. Before we start, so I hope we all had a Merry Christmas. So I watched the Christmas stream. It was short, it was sweet. It just needed to be like that. Oh boy, I have a lot of thoughts. Wow. Okay, so I kind of liked how well. Okay, so I liked a few things. But I also I don't know I don't know what to think about. I don't like the fact that Craft. Spoilers if you haven't seen the last stream. So watch that, and then this. So no, yeah, watch that, the last stream, then this. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to say. My guy, he was killed. He died. I was joking, but he dies. But it's not the end of the story, obviously. Um, wow. But and of course we read the beginning paragraph of the next segment like we usually do, right? But of course he then meets God again. So I want to go through a few pins. Okay, actually, I think I forgot the pins that I've established last stream because they never. I don't know if they're going to ever come up or whatever. But I remember the very first stream that I made at the very beginning of our journey. Okay, um, I remember a specific thing that happened at the very beginning of the stream. So we have not the very beginning of the stream, the very beginning of streaming the Artificer. Okay, so two pins actually. So the first one, let's get the one that's happening right now. Okay, that's gonna be crooked, whatever, fine. I'll just kind of fix it like that. There we go. Let's make it more centered. There. Okay, so I can never be satisfied with this. It's just there. Okay. So the first, give me a second. Sorry. All right, that's gonna be as good as it's gonna get. Okay, so the first pin, and I want to get the obvious one out of the way. The god that isekai, or that brought Craft from his world to this world, right? He's back. Okay, as I predicted, or at least I wouldn't say I predicted. I at least knew that he would return. Obviously, that's kind of an obvious thing that he was going to return. And I forgot something. Come on, flick. Come on, flick. Okay, then now it's not. Now it's much brighter in here. Okay, so my knee. I need to get a new disc. It's a little low, and it's not adjustable. But anyways, so the god does not have a name, but he brought him back. But the other pin, what I would like to call my alpha pin, right? Okay. I'm going to tell you what my alpha pin is, but yeah, I think you guys remember Kai. Okay. He's not in the story. He hasn't been in the story. He was mentioned in the beginning of the story. And you know what Chekhov's gun, right? Okay, right? Chekhov's gun is a phrase meaning that, like, if you introduce a weapon, it's going to go off, right? If you introduce anything, right? You're going. it's going to be mentioned. If you make anything seem important in a story, at least make it seem important in the story, unless it's like a beverage or something like that, or whatever. Like if you like not a beverage, if you point it out, it could either be a red herring, right? Which is okay. It's okay to have red herrings. Uh if you make something seem like it's important in the story in any sort of fashion, which it's going to be important in some sort of fashion in the story. And so far, Kai isn't. So, because he, in the beginning of the story, it says here, let me reread the first paragraph. Not the first sentence of the first paragraph of the first chapter, just the first paragraph. The green and white cursor shifted and morphed as it danced over the numerous icons in his inventory. This raid boss had been giving him hell, and the guild was less than useless at organizing. They'd all given up after 4 attempts, and it'd be another week before they all got together again. He blamed Kai. The bastard always jumped out first. And then the next paragraph following that, but he could do it. He'd been preparing for this for days. He made more health and mana potions than he could count, and he grinded out as many enchantment weapons and pieces of armor he could. And his inventory alone were enough supplies for his entire guild, which was sort of the idea that he had the highest, sharper skill among them. He had even gone so far as to make low-level equipment for the newer members. What few of them the guild had. It was exciting to see an MMO 5 years out of the date getting fresh blood. Except for Kai. Oh, the third paragraph here. Except for Kai. It was all too tempting to shortchange the guy on potions, but frustratingly, that it would be self-defeating. Semicolon. It'd just give more of an excuse to call the raid early. Okay, and then so skip a couple of paragraphs. Well, 119 potions because screw Kai. And then skip a few paragraphs. No, and then he just simply dies. Yeah, okay. Okay, so I am hoping that there's a reason why that Kai is mentioned in the story, because in the story he loses memory of his past, right? He loses basically most of his memory of his past, with the exception of what he saw on the History Channel. Right? He the memory of his family, the memory of his name is gone. Like he practically has a clean slate. But for some reason, the trickster god, has made it happen to where he remembered his last memory, which was he made sure that Krat would remember his very last moments on the earth, on here, this planet, right? Which was how much he disliked Kai, and the fact that he was playing an MMO game. The trickster god. If I was the trickster god, I would give him an entire clean slate. If I really wanted to screw around with this guy. But the fact that Kai is important to the trickster god, right? This tells me that the trickster god knows who Kai is. He allowed him to leave this final moments of his life to exist into his mind. Right? we would not be reading about him struggling with Kai. Oh, screw you, Kai. Oh, I have to make all these potions because of Kai. I have to make sure that Kai just doesn't screw up because he's such a screw up, right? If the trickster god didn't care about the last moments of his life, right? Didn't care about the fact that he knew about the History Channel, because, like, okay, I understand. Okay, Noel, I would at least I would at least allow to give him to at least allow him to keep some of his memories, right? Some of his knowledge, some of his stuff that he knows, right? I wouldn't completely give him a complete um, fresh start where he's like baby and whatnot. No, that would be ridiculous. Now, I will obviously allow him to have some of his knowledge, some of the knowledge he's gone through over the years. But whether he remembers that or not, that's on him, right? His name, take away. The memory of his childhood and his parents and everything, I will take that away. His friends and his enemies, I will also take away. But if I knew someone that he also knows, there's a reason. I'm betting on it. For some reason, I'm not betting it. I know, like there's a reason why the trickster god kept the memory of Kai and his final moments to him. It's either to toy with him, like, oh, haha, your final moments were trash, right? It's probably because, and the reason why I'm gambling on it is because, like, usually when it comes to stories like these, it's because he's isekai'd Kai. It's because he also had messed with Kai's life. It's because Kai probably died roughly around this time as well. Okay, we don't know who Kai is, but I feel like we will know who Kai is, and I feel like there's a reason why the author has made it important for him to have this moment, this memory. He could have started the story. Raymond McNeil, if he really wanted to, he could have just started this story where Kraft can only remember the fact that he was just playing a game, and all of a sudden he died. His final moments were like, wait a second, I was playing a video game. I haven't gone outside. I have been in my room for the past couple of days. Oh dear goodness, did I legit forget to eat, sleep, and breathe? Did I legit just died in my room playing a video game? Doing nothing but that? Wow, I'm dead. It could have literally just started the story with that, with no attachments for us, the audience, to have no knowledge of him having attachments to the previous world, where the trickster god would give him complete blank slate. And so the trickster god is back into the story. Speaking of back to the story, we need to get back to the story and wonder why he brought him back, or wonder if he will bring him back. But I want to let's start reading. I will reread the paragraph that I read last time, where, because usually this is how I read. I read ahead, and then the next stream I reread that section. Anyways, okay, so now we're back with the trickster god. Well, according to he's a trickster god according to Ryan, I think. I'm gonna go use my now, I think I gave him like an old man voice, but I'm gonna retcon that. I'm gonna change that. I'm just gonna give him more of a divine voice, I guess. How unfortunate. So this kind of still sounds like an old man voice, a little bit bellow, whatever. Anyways, Kraft blinked. This felt familiar in a bad way, a very bad way. He was still in Merson, but everything was off, like the shadows didn't quite match the sun, and the air was too humid for the chill that hung in the breeze. Ghostly outlines filled out around the gate, locked in some kind of perpetual march leading out the walls and into the forest. Only about 2 years, I'd say. I was disappointed, but most people I bring here only last a quarter that long. A year at most. Oh, semicolon, a year at most. Kraft turned, finding himself face with the man he met when he first died, the stranger, the beyonder. The faceless figure flittered around the ghost, vanishing among their ranks only to appear somewhere else with a new face and body. By oh, sorry. By all accounts, you did better than expected, though I can't say it was particularly thrilling. What? Dropping a hand to his ribs, Kraft shuddered, the finger encounter the finger encountering a bloodless gash where the blade had pierced him. Where am I? What? Did I die? Yes, of course, you did. That's what happens to most people who get stabbed through the lungs. Excuse me. The figure paused, waving a hand. Claw or hoof in a gentle circle. Though I suppose I can't blame you for being confused. I've cheated just a bit to bring you here. Rest assured, once we've had our chat, I'll let you finish dying properly. The Chiron, or Charon, or the Chiron, let's go with Chiron. The Chiron and their reapers can be very indignant about those that meddle in their affairs. Kraft digested the words. Yeah, not worlds. He digested the worlds like Galactus. I hunger. Kraft digested the words, letting his breathing slow down to a more regular pace. So, I'm not quite dead yet? No, but I can't. But I can't keep you in my little fold of reality forever. Your time is limited, as it is for all these poor souls you've killed here today, the man said, waving to the sickly frozen shadows blurring the cobblestone path. All the men he killed? Kraft scanned the ghosts, their silhouettes eerily familiar. Their souls. These are their souls? He asked. Yes, and once your body perishes, you'll be there right alongside them. How lucky it is how lucky is it you've a friend like me to see yourself a friend like me to see you off with a goodbye. Not many would stop time to send you on your way with warm words. Kraft ignored the question, his thoughts muddled. There was something there, something that tickled the back of his brain, but he couldn't quite find it yet. He needed to stall. I wouldn't exactly call you a friend. You dropped me in the middle of nowhere with no clue what to do. Kraft bit stepping out with his left leg. A trill ran up his knee. I don't even know what to call you. The people on Etrion just call you the Beyonder. And spite the ground you walk on, and spite the ground you walk on. The Beyonder smiled, edging his chin skyward to the sun, moon, whatever it was. The pale light it shed was far from inviting. So intent are people to give me a name, semicolon. I exist beyond those. It is best if all things should. Make make do with what you must. Vanishing, the man's breath ran down Kraft's neck, a ghost of warmth along his nerves. And for and for those that spite me, you know as well as I that people fear what they do not know. Fear the wrench that shoves their cogs out of place. Crust spun away, the pebbles between stones skittering under his naked soles before freezing in place mid-air. The Beyonder was nowhere to be found, though his venomous words lingered. Of course, sometimes a wrench can look very much like a cog. If it fits too well, it'll go unnoticed for some time. The dis- the yeah, excuse me. The desaturated world dimmed. For the mechanic, this is no problem, but for the saboteur, the discovery of the wrench is half the fun. Kraft's eyebrows shot into not shot into. Kraft's eyebrows. Let me. I just noticed that it says chopped. It says top chat, not live chat. So let me switch it to the live chat. For some reason, the live it keeps doing that. I want to see the live chat, and I keep forgetting to switch it over. Kraft's eyebrows shot to his hairline. You, gritting his teeth until they stung, he scanned the ghostly figures, looking for the odd man out. The wives, short wyverns. So the wives, the guild. You left those. You left those poor creatures so embittered. Semicolon. It was only right for me to give them an outlet for their ire. Ah. The voice resounded down the narrow avenue, bouncing between the buildings and making it impossible to tell where it had come from. And the guild, I expected so little after nudging those banks to buy your contracts. But here we are with one hell of a show, if I do say so myself. For some reason, I just imagine this as like Markiplier or something. So, everything. The shadow nearest Kraft melted into a figment of the Beyonder, the ethereal form stretching to loom over him. Was perfectly your fault. Kraft took a step back. A loose stone met his heel, and he quickly found himself on his tail, a spike of fire crawling up his spine. Bullshit! He stuttered, a bead of sweat slipping from his crown to his lips. It is all of it thinking you could skirt the guild's notice, thinking you could rebuff them, thinking you could outlast them, thinking you could threaten them, thinking you could survive them, thinking you could wage war with them. The Beyonder's shape continued to grow, to the point where his distended body umbrellaed the whole town. Worst of all, like he's just kind of just. Worst of all, thinking you could lead a quiet life and leave me without my due amusement. Tipping one domino among the tipping. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, tipping one domino among the dozens you toppled yourself is but a small contribution. With a breath, Kraft stilled his beating heart. The bastard was just riling him. Pushing himself to his feet, he yelled, "So that's it? I'm just some kind of entertainment to you?" Exactly. Like I said, you are squandering your life. So to make it squandering your life. So to make it dance as a cosmic joke. Isn't that better than being worthless? What is the noise that's happening down there? Gosh dang. I was never worthless, Cruff spat. And I'm not worth something just because I entertain you. I make people's lives better. I made their lives easier. And even if it's starting a war, I'm dragging them out from under the heel of an oppressive piece of shit. It like the Madro Crafters Guild. It should be an exclamation point if you think about it. And you were willing to die for that? The Beyonder's harmonic voice booming. It seems like it. Kraft coughed. Copper began to coat his tongue like a throb emanated from his side, slowly but surely. He could only guess his time was coming to an end. In an instant, the shadow over Merson evaporated, and the Beyonder stood before him, his body proportioned. Well, not normally, but normal for the only vaguely shaped being. Such a dedicated man. I suppose it only took death to actually give you something worth living for. Shame it's coming to an end. Crush struggled out a laugh. Speckles of blood seeping into the porous rock below. Don't count your chickens, asshole. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry. Oddly enough, that got an honest to God raise of a brow from an honest to God raise of the brow out of the faceless being. I'm not done yet, he hacked. I'm going to. Oh, sorry. Oh, my bad. Crap. I'm not done yet, he hacked. I'm going to win this war. And when I do, I'm going to find a way to dick you over. Oh, it's okay. I'm going to find a way to dick you over like you keep doing to me. I'd say you're free to try, but you're not really going to get a chance to kill. I never said kill. Kraft interrupted. His body gave way, sorry, as he found the strength in his legs fainting. I said I'm going to take you over. The language. After all, if you're going to have fun at my expense, why don't I have fun at yours right back? The Beyonder paused. Well, Craft is the name now, isn't? That's the most entertaining thing I've heard in a long, long time. Kraft smiled, a gout of blood dripping down his chin, holding a hand out to the Beyonder. He said, Must suck to be you then. Confused, the godlike being reached for the hand only to be turned away as Kraft twisted the palm towards himself. Calling upon every ounce of remaining strength, as he thought of himself as he always had been, with what little color was left in the world began to drain away, taking with it lines of contrast until there was nothing but white. Kraft clenched. Kraft clenched his left hand. Okay, so that's the end of that segment. But however, we're gone 30 minutes into this. And we could potentially finish the story today. And then the next stream would be the epilogue one. Yay! Now it repeats here. I think this might be a typo, or if it's doing it on purpose because of sometimes the it's like an artistic thing of like mindset. But anyways, starting with the next sentence, Kraft clenched his left hand. See, it's in the book. It's literally he repeats it twice. So yeah, on purpose. His world exploded into blues and reds and greens. Every hair on his body rose in answer to the prickling energy, and it felt as if each and every one was ripped from his skin, from both inside and out. Dwarfed was the pain in his side, forgotten was the blood on his lips, buried was the burn of his lungs, replaced only with a searing cold that shredded every essence of his being to the core. And in an instant, it was over. He died. The end. In an instant, it was over. Motes of light speckled the twilight air, fading into the warm golden band that was quickly sinking beyond the tree-lined horizon. Distant winds filled the forest while Kraft's thoughts caught up with his body. He found himself between Arots and Garkuo, now a full 3 feet distant from where he had been standing before. Gone was the hole in his torso or the blood on his lips in their place. He found his armor resealed and Garkuo's blade in hand. As the lost droplets of energy winked out of existence, Arward spoke. Teleportation? Garkuo was next to react. My sword. Kraft said nothing, but were it not for a sudden wave of fatigue sucking at his limbs, he'd be cheering into the heavens. It worked! A gamble that was. He threaded his very self. He'd threaded his very self and his armor through the exact same power he'd use on every one of his own creations, tearing himself apart at the molecular level and reconstituting himself, his whole self, somewhere else. Wow! Okay. That's a new power. I don't know if that was the god of this world or if that was the Beyonder's doing, or if that was someone else's doing. Give me a moment to go on. Okay, so I don't know if that was the Beyonders doing or if that was Kraft's doing. Like at the last moment between he died or whatever, he actually decided to use his power on himself. I don't know. I probably don't want to know. I wish we had explored this a little bit more. This concept of crafting. Um, it feels like okay. So obviously, okay. So I was I was at first I was worried that the god that revived him, right, was going to revive him again. Right? I was like, huh? Oh no, no, I'm not done with you yet. Bing. Right? That sort of stuff. And I'm kind of glad it wasn't that. It was more of Beyonder saying his final goodbyes to him. But then it was Kraft who decided to revive himself, which is only okay. Okay, that makes a little bit sense. Maybe the Beyonder gave him a little boost after after the fact that he was uh, after he was actually entertained by the words of Kraft, right? We're gonna find out later in the story, but I don't. That was that. This is interesting. I'm not gonna lie. This is interesting. It is cool that he could just do that. Um, it seems like a miracle either the Beyonder did or the Kraft did, or maybe it's a mixture of both. I'm hoping it's more of a mixture of both. I kind of don't like the Deus Ex Machina, even though Deus Ex Machinas are kind of cool in their own way if handled right. But like, it's just, I don't know how I feel about this. Oh, so yeah, it was a gamble. His whole self somewhere else. The reading, I'm like, how did that? Wow. So somehow he crafted himself. Like that's. He was still reeling from Victoria's shock when Arwitz shifted beside him. Reflexes kicked in, and he quickly brought Gorkyu's blade down on the sorcerer's snake, severing the remainder of the man's bandaged hand and cleaving a clean gash across his chest, only allowing the sombrant a choked uh, gasp of surprise. Kraft cut forward with his other hand, igniting the plasma blades along the way. Along the way, the superheated gas lanced through Arwitt's chest. Arwitt's navy blue skin began to glow, the taut membrane taking on a translucent cyan sheen as fire raced past his ribs, filling his abdomen, the chest, there, filling his abdomen, and escaping as a gout of flame through his mouth and eyes. Jolting backward, the body hit the ground just as the smell of charred flesh finally washed over Kraft and Garcule. I mean, hey, that's one way. I mean, that's actually kind of ironic that he gets killed by someone he was literally trying to kill, only for Kraft to revive himself, and then kill him. Now, as for Garkuo, I'm hoping he retreats. I don't want him to die because he seems reasonable, and I'm hoping that like things change for the better for him. You know what I'm saying? I'm hoping that maybe whatever. Fueled by adrenaline, Crafton stop, spinning to hold Garku at sword tip with his own blade. Stood stock. The knight stood stock still. Tell the last of your men to stand down now. Garku's eyes were level at Kraft's, his gaze never wavering. Kraft feared for a moment the man would not bend his knee, but was pleasantly surprised as he opened his mouth. Men, lay down your arms. I think it is clear we have been bested. The remaining 9 soldiers hesitated, more than likely still in awe at Kraft's little body hop, but they quickly came to life and threw their weapons to the bloodied grass. I mean, hey, that's that the cat spellcaster is dead. I don't know if he was a wizard or a witch or a warlock or whatever. He's dead. The spellcaster, who could essentially, technically speaking, keep up with Kraft, with those lightning hands or whatever, dead. Smiling, Kraft returned to his smiling. Kraft returned his attention to the commander. Now, to your knees, your hands behind your back. I mean, he is under arrest. Like, let's face it, that they committed. Arwitz and Garkuo, they committed crimes against humanity. I'm hoping that the prince is not evil. I'm just saying. I'm hoping the prince was like, my goodness, this happened under my rule? What's been happening? Yeah, I'm hoping that it's more like what? I'm hoping that he's not evil because then okay, well now we have to deal with the kingdom. Behind Gorkyu visibly swallowed. I can't do that right now. I don't have any. My lips, my mouth is dry, and I don't have spit in my mouth, and I'm. Yeah, I guess that's the closest I could do. I know. Gorkyu visibly swallowed, his face going cold as stone as his knees dropped to the burgundy mud. He looked resigned to death, semicolon. He probably thought he was. Instead, Kraft walked behind the man, flipping the sword to his left hand, pressing the blade to Gorkyu's wrist as he exercised an alarmingly large amount of effort to turn the blade into a set of heavy manacles, locking the knight's wrists in place. Oh, his sword now binds him. That's actually interesting. And he has more. It seems like he has more control over his ability. I threaten you, and you show me mercy. Garku tensed his wrist against the manacles, as if testing their strength. His arms did not move far. You're a puppet on a string. I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at the hand. I'm angry at the hand, and I'll sever every finger if I need to. Kraft stood and turned to the outlying men. Flee to the forest and do not return. If I hear wind of one soldier back in Mersin, I will slaughter every last man that was here tonight. He grabbed Garku by the manacles and lifted him to his feet. With a push, two set off for the heart of Mersin. Only the clinking of armor drifted between them as they entered the streets, garnering, there's that word again, the curious eyes of the townsfolk. Instead of gathering, you know, and peeked out from the windows and doors. Clambering over the pile of bodies feeding into the cobble road, Kraft was sad to distinguish men absent the trappings of the royal guard, semicolon. Town guard, no doubt, overwhelmed by the superior numbers and skill. He made a note to send some of Tumaloda's defenders north to secure the town and train a new regiment. I would say you are a bold one, challenging the prince like this, Garku commented as they made it to a strip of street drive blood. But I hazard to think you truly are capable of standing up to the whole of Hakkaj on your lonesome. If I wanted to, Kraft replied. But I don't. I never did. I just want peace and quiet. Your buildings, your buildings are that important to you. Arriving at the town square, Kraft set the arriving at the town square, Kraft set them on a course to the town's jail. No, my freedom. And we're at another break into the chapter. Oh, okay, so I guess we can finish it tonight. Not tonight. Well, today. Yeah, well, it's 5 this afternoon. Let me get a thing of water. I'll be right back. Right now, you just have this background to be your company. Actually, hold on. For right now, you have Slender Man. Well, as I can see, Slenderman did not like to. There we go. That's much better. But he needs to go back where he belongs. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put him right here, right next to me. So until the stream ends, he'll be right there. Be just watching. So, wow, this this story. Okay, um, wow. Usually, like the sequel would have usually the sequel or something like that. The story later on down the road would have will have the main character like gain a super version of their power or whatever. Uh, Kraft had envisioned his first trip to Madro quite like this: scenic touristry, sunning on the beach, sampling the local delicacies, and entreating new trade. Semicolon. Those were all ch- those were all checks on his to-do list. Sneaking in, sneaking into the city and breaking into the palace didn't quite make the cut. Admittedly, getting to see Madro's New Year celebration was a perk, both as a traveler and as an infiltrator. There were wonderful light shows up and down the blocks on a part of the many casters that inhabited the cities, drawing the eyes to sparkling displays of grand magic and away from the duo of figures skirting across the rooftops, timing their jumps with the noisiest of the festive uh, pyrotechni- pyrotechniques. They hopped one of the wider thoroughfares, propelled across the distance by their suits with ease. Flying was flying was tempting, but the noise and light would guarantee their detection and ruin the surprise. Even now, gallivanting from roof to roof like this was incredibly risky, but necessarily given how large the capital streets were. They were close to the palace now. The dome was the dome was a titan among the studded skyline, double the height of any surrounding buildings, if not larger. Perching on a ledge across from one of the dome's numerous balconies, Kraft cracked his neck. Sorry. His companion slid down the roof next to him, the stonework warping under the man's heavy feet. Sharing a look, Kraft uncurled and let his suit's computer um, gauge the frequency of the pyrotechnics, jumping when the number breached 82%. Landing on the balcony together, he turned to the hulking figure. Loop around the other side of the dome and be quick about it. We need to time this perfectly. The man nodded and skipped to the next balcony over, then to the next and the next until he vanished around the curve of the dome. It was honestly terrifying to see someone so large move around with such speed, but that was exactly what Kraft was looking for right now. Colon. Terrifying. Okay, so I mean, have you seen someone go to a McDonald's? Oh, have you seen a return? Let's be more accurate here. Have you seen a returning customer being eager to go to McDonald's? I'm not talking about an elderly or a returning mother and child. I'm talking about the other type of people that are returning customers because they actually enjoy McDonald's, not because it's convenient or cheap. Uh, terrifying. Krath began to hop the balconies, going opposite his companion, and circled the dome counterclockwise towards the front. The balconies they were using to cross the dome were purely decorative, a layer of fluff to fill out the skirt of the roof. But below that were outcroppings, packed to the brim with guests of the crown, brought in brought in to enjoy the celebration in the lap of luxury. And at the front of the front of the palace, rounding the bend, Kraft launched himself onto one of the many turrets jutting from the corners of the palace lower floors. He latched onto one of the stone gargoyles and um hold on, give me a second. No, he latched onto one of he latched onto one of the stone gargoyles, witnessed a guy trying to kill a lady, only to fall in the fires below. I kid. I'm just kidding. That was a reference to Notre Dame. I was thinking of like the gargoyle part things that. Anyway, moving on. It's like, oh my god. Anyways, um, Gargoyle decorating the crown and pressed himself to the wall, granting him the perfect vantage point of the royal gallery and its gold leaf lectern. Kraft locked his suit's arm in place, taking in the full scope of the city around him. The long expanses of mixed Romanesque and Moorish architecture, or whatever they were called in Etienne's native tongues, were awe-inspiring, and it was impressive how energized the crowd was, considering the fracture happening among the nation's northeastern territories. But then again, it wasn't unusual for a capital so prosperous to be isolated from its weathering satellites. Across the way, his companion moved into position, perching himself on the matching turret and melting into the stone like one of it and melting into the stone like one of the gargoyles the stone like one of the gargoyles lining its rim. Okay, that's a weird. I didn't like that sentence. I feel like that could have been worded differently. The two waited in silence, watching the throngs of people enjoy their time in the palace courtyard below. A minute passed, and a horn broke through the fervor. The magic displays dissolved, the din dimmed. 2 more minutes passed. Kraft clenched his free hand. 4 people emerged from the palace, walking up to the lectern with a gait as languid as it was regal or regal. Not certain how it's pronounced. I've heard it both ways. 2 of them were clearly bodyguards, the royal protectors, armed to the teeth, bronze tinged and bronze tinged steel glistening in the lantern light. Behind them was a cloaked figure sporting the colors and emblem of Hakaj Magician's Guild, most likely the head Magus or Magus. Flanked by all of them was an older man with weathered magenta skin and salted hair, wearing the most ornate blue and gold robes, sporting an intri- intricate circlet over his ears. Brushing, brushing his close-trimmed beard, the man approached the podium, waving to the crowd to cease what little murmuring remained. The Magus slided sidled, sorry, sit, sidled up beside him, waving his hands over the imperial man with a practiced ease. Prince Vyson cleared his throat, the grumbling sound echoing out across the courtyard and possibly even further. It was almost deafening. People of Hakaj, we welcome you to the dawning of the year to the dawning of the year 1748 in the age of our celestial lords, as enlightened by the prophet Lurdia Colvin, Koyovin. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Lurdia Koyovin. Vyson raised his fingers to the sky, allowing the crowd to roar into the night air with approval. We would like to personally welcome House Barber and House in in Skorska in sorry, I don't know how to pronounce these. In Skorska, yeah, in Skorska. Their continued support for the crown has led Hakash into the most gilded years since Vorgmash incursions savage Port Lagos. It is with their help that we hope to continue our recovery into the coming year, making 1748 Hakaj's most prosperous yet. Another roar from the crowd. They were getting juiced. All of a sudden, they actually like physically get juiced or whatever. Anyways, raising a hand, Vyson silenced the crowd. Far be it from us to mention only the good of the year, and not recognize the shadows that brew beneath the grumbles of a few misled souls have no doubt troubled our citizenry, but we assure you, this is but the discontent of farmers and fools, and already the royal guard has organized to quell these traitorous dogs. Kraft tightened his fingers. I'm still guessing that the prince is misled. Sometimes people in power are out of touch. I'm leaning on that being true. Maybe he's being told lies or whatnot. Maybe he's being told half truths. I am hoping that maybe Prince Vyson is going to be a reasonable guy like RQ. I don't know why I'm open onto this. I'm just saying. Because it seems that Artwitz was taking advantage of the entire situation. Like, it's like, oh, this is bad, my lord. Prince Vyson, if you would please understand why it's bad. Because trust me, Prince Vyson, this is bad. Because I say it's bad. Blah blah blah. That sort of. I'm hoping that's sort of situation. Kraft in his fingers. These shadows will be purged from our fair lands in due time. Worry yourself not over them, shaking his hands with gusto. The prince smiled. We will exercise. Excise. Sorry. We will excise. Not exercise. Just excise. We will excise the dark that weighs us down to lighten our future. Krath breathed. Then he jumped. The Templar mirrored him through the air, their matching arcs lancing down to the royal protectors. Caught completely by surprise, the guards were only allowed a moment to blink before both were slammed into the palace doors and fell slack. By the time Vyson could even react, Kraft's plasma jets lingered inches from his beard. If you want something cut, Kraft growled, I'd be glad to assist. Words resonating from words resonating from his suit's speakers washed through the courtyard, unchallenged, were it not for the merriment that had never ceased further into the city. Vyson stared at him out of the corner of his eye, the smooth iris recoiling from the heat of the blades. Languid, testing, he tried to open his mouth only to be silenced as the fire crawled closer. I believe it's my time to speak, Your Highness. Kraft allowed all the venom pooling in his gut to stain those words. Those traitorous dogs, as you called them. Are Hakaj's citizens that have been choked time and time again by Madro's empty guilds and your salivating hounds in the royal guard. I'm here as their envoy, as a symbol for those that rebuke you and your garbage governance. From this point forward, all territories of Hakaj that are equally sick of the principality's corruption are under my auspices. Spices. Spices. Free to secede under my protection. The Artificer welcomes those that seek liberation and offers liberty in kind. Oh my gosh, I need to stop using that voice. I don't know why I gave Kraft that voice. I just figured that's how he would sound like. Excuse me. My nose is just itchy today. Lowering the blade only a fraction, Kraft dared to lean closer to the prince. I thought it would be for the best to formally announce our succession to you directly, my lord. Cut out all that pussyfooting we've been doing around the issue and really give you a taste of what you're up against. Flicking his wrist, he let out. He let one of the blades drag across the man's beard, singeing the dark strands. Leave us alone, or I'll return here and burn more than just a few beard hairs. Leaning in closer, Kraft turned the speakers off, making his last words more intimate. Am I clear? Vyson's glare was deadly, but his tongue was bit. B-I-T, just normal B-I-T. Lingering long enough, Kraft took the silence as an agreement and cut the fuel, the fire dying over his wrist. Flexing, he shoved Vyson back, flowing robes tearing along the ground as he slid to the door beside his guards. Nodding to the Templar, the Grand Magus was next to the door, but not before the mountainous man had tapped the back of his head hard enough to knock him out. The two men lined up side by side, their boots warming to life. Kraft did a quick double check on their fuel and confirmed they get to friendly territory before they needed to land. Hakash is not so easily pacified. Kraft turned and found the shuddering found the shuddering prince floundering to a stand. You think yourself powerful now, illusory, illusory. We swear on the grave of our forefathers, for every mile you'll take, we will reclaim it and extract a price double what you cost us. Oh no, that was okay, that's the prince speaking. Let me rewind. Hakaj is not so easily pacified. Kraft turned and found the shuddering prince floundering to a stand. You think yourself powerful now, illusory. We swear on the grave of our forefathers, for every mile you take, we will reclaim it and extract a price double what you cost us. You can try, Kraft responded, looking to the sky above. Sticky clouds muddled the stars. If it's an illusion, then enjoy the show. Leaving the prince on those words, Kraft and the Templar darted into the heavens above. And that is where we will end not just the chapter, but the stream. Now, there is an epilogue. I could keep going, but I feel like I'll save that for the next live stream because I want to talk about. I want to talk about the story, what I enjoyed and what I did not enjoy, and all that other stuff. So yeah, we'll do the epilogue in a separate stream, and it'll be the last stream of this story. But now let's talk about what just happened. I don't like it. I don't like the entire story. The end. Okay, well, before we talk about what just happened, I'm going to put him aside over here. Let me put him back where he belongs. There. Okay. So, let's talk about what just happened. Okay. I don't like it. I wish that there was a lot of peace there. I wish they were there. I wish that Kraft could have approached things peacefully. Because like Arwitz was not a he was not a negotiable man. Kraft should have. I understand why he decided to do a hostile message, but I feel like Kraft should have either sent himself. No, that would have been dangerous. He should have sent a messenger, a negotiator, if you will. Or sent a messenger to negotiate, just to renegotiate. He's the prince after all. This tells me that the prince, no, he's not confused. He was not tricked, or he was not whatever, blah, blah. Okay, so this is going to be a trope. A tired trope. It's the trope that works, but it's a tired trope. It's a trope where like, okay, the king or the royal family, someone in the royal family, or just the prince in general. Oh, he's bad. I want to say he's evil. We haven't crossed any lines to say that he was evil. He just seems to be just in control. We haven't seen any dark sides of him. Arwitz, yes. The fact that he had trusted Arwitz, okay, that's bad. But I feel like potentially, I feel like I don't believe that the prince. I don't just yet, not just fully. I believe this situation could be handled differently. But this is Kraft we're talking about. We're not talking about some noble and smart individual. He does seem to be smart, but like does but like um I'm not there's not enough to know about the prince to make a judgment on him. Gorkyu, okay. Since Gorkyu, he's not evil either, but like he just seems like a guy who was just doing what he was told, you know. But that the reason why that's bad is because if you just do what you're told, you just do without question, right? It's just you're just causing harm. Uh, then, but okay, so Goku personally, I kind of don't really care about Goku. You, um, I hope we learn more about Prince Bison in the sequel. Well, I'm been told that there's a sequel. But I'm hoping he's not like outright bad. I'm hoping there's like a reason why like he's like this. You know what I'm saying? I like okay, I like the idea of like, okay, this guy, the art or sorry, I like I understand like okay, so you want to have someone at least someone that's a little snake like, you know, you okay, I understand. You want someone to be a little obviously on the nose, this guy's bad, right? But I kind of want to explore the idea of like, okay, this guy isn't as bad, right? He's the prince. There's a reason why he's the prince. You know, he's the prince. um, I feel like there's several things that could have been handled to handle the situation peacefully. He could have gone there himself. It would be a risk, a huge risk, but with big reward of negotiating. But obviously, Kraft is not really a negotiator kind of guy. He wasn't thinking about negotiating. But okay, so obviously disappointed. One disappointment here. Kai, where the heck is Kai? Obviously, that was not answered. Um, Maybe in the sequel that will get answered. But so that Chekhov's gun is just still just there. It just exists. That sometimes Chekhov's guns get answered in sequels. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I'm hoping that Kai gets answered. I'm just saying, hoping Kai gets answered. There are some side adventures. I've heard that there was a book that he released with a bunch of side adventures that had nothing to do with craft, but it had to do with the people of Tomalota and Hokage and the world of Echion or Echion or whatever. But uh, yeah, yeah, that's it's this the story's over, but there's also the epilogue. Um, Again, there could have been a lot of, but I'm assuming that the reason why they did this was probably because Prince Bison wasn't as um, negotiable. Like if he's willing to send Arwitz to do this, or if he's willing to allow Arwitz to do the things he did, right? Then that means that he's probably not a good person. Um, I want to hold my tongue on Prince Bison until more happens. So yeah, there's that. Disappointed that none of the pins were unpinned in the story. I don't remember the pins that I had yesterday if they got resolved or not, because I was near the end of the story when I made those pins, and then of course at the beginning of this live stream I reminded you all that my alpha pin, which is Kai, that didn't came to fruition. I'm now going to assume that it's nothing. That was just a red herring. That he just wanted that it's just there. The Kai only exists for the audience to relate uh, to to craft. That there's always that one asshole or that one idiot or that one overeager person that thinks they can do the job. Right. Although I don't like people that are like craft, the like if I I don't know. I just unless Kai was overbearing question mark, or like if he's over, like if he was annoying and he was just an asshole and he just did things without question or whatever, okay, fine, maybe I can see. But we don't know who Kai is. He just exists to for Kraft to be annoyed for a for momentarily. Oh dear. Okay. Well, anyways, um, that's all I have time left for is this. Um, I'll do the epilogue and then in the next stream. I'm glad we covered this much ground. I'm glad we're practically done. Yeah, we just need one more stream that will happen tomorrow. Um, tomorrow, hopefully, we'll also stream Resident Evil with the Dominic Rex. And then New Year's, yay! During the New Year's, or the week of the New Year's, we'll do a random fandom video for the New Year's. So yeah, I got nothing else to say. I feel like I feel like this book just feels a little bit empty. Yeah, I hate to say that. Give me a second. Sorry. There. Let me read this real quick. Sorry, I forgot where. Oh no. Okay. Well, I've got to go anyways. It's time for me to go. See you all soon in the next live stream. I say this book feels empty in the fact that like it just okay, well there's none like I didn't feel I don't like Tom Walloda. You know what I'm saying? I don't care for it. Um there was some exploration, but like I feel like if more time was spent in Tom Walloda, you didn't have to have a final boss in Tom Walloda. You could have had just small adventures, and you could have wyverns. Maybe like there was this. You could have had a story leading up to it's being the bad guy in the next story. I like the idea of exploring the world that you're actually living in, and not just oh okay, we're exploring here and there. Oh hey, this is what this town looks. This is what this town looks. I don't care about any of them. I don't. We meet Ryan. Um, I don't. I, I okay. You know, I'm gonna say it. I don't care for the story. Yeah. It sounds harsh, but like, it just yeah. It's okay. This happens. This happens. This happens. Um, I do care that. Well, it's just like okay, so like there was a festival that happened in the middle of the way. I feel like I didn't care for Tarith. I didn't care for Amir. I didn't care for his wife. I didn't care for Doraz. I almost like there was build up for Ryan. I did care for Kraft because he was the main character, living in the story. Okay, hold. Are we here? Anyways, it just felt like the story just feels lifeless. It just didn't feel like it didn't feel like the stuff that was happening was important, or whatever. harsh. It's just, well, there was an arc. There was, I, I know, I don't know what the arc was. There was plot. There, there was definitely plot, but it just didn't feel like there was just, how do I say this? Just, I just didn't like. I was hooked because I wanted to find out what the journey would be like for Craft and whatnot. Well, how he experienced this world and whatnot. Well, I will read the sequel. I will read the sequel. I will read the other stories as well, the smaller stories. But I just feel like this just it's just I didn't fall in love with the world. You didn't make me fall in love with the world. you know, um, it didn't make me. It didn't feel like the world was alive. Does it make sense? Like, yeah, okay, you have festivals, you have the wyverns attacking the town, you have him traveling from one town to another, and all this other stuff, but it just didn't feel like it was alive. Or not alive, it just didn't feel like I just didn't feel entertained. I guess I don't know how else to explain this. It's just it sounds harsh, I know, but like it's just how do I say this? It There was not enough flavor. When you, I hate using food analogies, but the only thing that works. Um, there's not enough characters, for him to meet. He sucks as a main character. He just does. He doesn't meet anyone. He doesn't actually try to meet anyone. Doesn't talk to anybody. There was no slice of the town. I mean, there was this bit. I mean, I didn't care for Aramel. I I I, I liked voicing him or reading his lines out loud and pretending he has a much different, awesome, cheerful voice, right? Um, I kind of liked Horowitz and his personality. I like the personalities. You know what I'm saying? I kind of liked them, but I just didn't. There's just not enough. It's just, yeah, I want more, but I'm not. But like this, I want more in a. It just feels like I want more in a bad way. You know what I'm saying? Like I want more, but you didn't give me enough to want more. You know what I'm saying? It's like going to a restaurant, eating something, but like you're left hungry. I don't want to go to that restaurant ever again because not that it was bad. The music was good. The different choices. Um, but like nothing was explored with the food. Like it's just okay. You get it. You just have like very limited options. You don't have ketchup or mustard or any of the other condiments to go with it. It's like it's just yeah. It's just like going to a. It was fun. It was a fun story. I just felt like I was not entertained by the only oddly enough the only character I cared about was the Beyond. And he was supposed to be like the bad guy, I guess. I mean, yeah, yeah. I guess there's no other way to put it. He's the bad guy. It's just. There's like some good stuff in here, good potential stuff. It's like a pilot episode. The first episode is like, okay, you introduced me to things, you show me things, you give me new characters and all that stuff. This is like one huge pilot episode, and the hook is only in the second episode. You don't have your hook in the first episode. You have your hook in the second episode. You have the boring kind of just here we are. Let me introduce this world to you, right? And you have the hook in the second episode, right? This feels like one big pilot episode. Yes, technically the hook is supposed to be in the first episode, but for some reason I get hooked in the second episode or in the third. If I, first or I get myself interested into the story. I take the first bite. I get myself interested into the first story, which is the pilot episode, right? Now, typically, yes, that technically does hook me in, but it doesn't feel like I'm actually being reeled in. You know what I'm saying? So I guess the more accurate term is the first episode's the hook, I guess. Second episodes where you actually get reeled in, and the third episode is where like the story has caught you, right? The first man has put you in his net, right? I'm kind of not even hooked. this is this is what this situation just feels like to me. I'm not hooked. I read the entire story, the entire book. I'm not hooked. Will I read the second one and hope that it'll hook me in, right? To actually care about the characters here. Hopefully, I know this sound again. I know this sounds harsh, and I'm probably wah wah. Maybe this is just not for me, right? Um, maybe I just have the coat sleeve and bald, and maybe I'm just missing the bigger picture and whatnot. But it's just like, yeah, it feels like like half of the book is missing. That's what it feels like. Every time I read like a new story or whatever, right? Or every time like I read like a story or whatever that different story, like it feel usually they have more stuff to interest you in that story. Like with Jurassic Park, for example. Okay, so first there's like a lot of like fluff and stuff, like, oh hey, this child gets bitten by a dinosaur. Hey, we found its tail. We are looking at its tail. Oh, hey, you ever heard of Dr. Hammond? Oh, he did this, he does that, he does, there's no fluff in the story. Something to actually care about the characters in the story that's happening, right? He doesn't meet a little girl or a little boy or whatever, a child, and gives them a toy or whatever, or he doesn't save a cat from a tree. He's just in his little environment and he just exists. And he helps out to the town folk with their little trinkets and whatnot, and he does a very hello. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Sorry for that hiccup. There's nothing in here that makes me feel like I want to be in Tomalota or Ichion or whatever. There's nothing in here that makes me feel like I should care about anything that's happening here. Yes, the places are cool. Yes, the environment is cool. Yes, the story is cool, but that's all it is. It's just cool. Hey, look at this cool stuff. Look at this. It's cool. Everything's cool. Trust me, guys, it's cool. Right? That's what it feels like to me. It's missing half of the book. That's what it feels like. It's missing half of the book. It's missing the small journeys, right? The small little individual like stuff, right? I'm not saying it needs to be as big as Jurassic Park. I'm not saying it needs to be like a big, well, I'm not saying it needs, like, when you read Percy Jackson or Harry Potter, okay, it's a big book. One of the when I grew up as a kid, I would read like the character interaction. Like side character interaction, other character interaction and whatnot, and stuff happening because one thing leads to another, right? None of that. There's nothing in. There's no actual me wanting to care about whether or not Kraft succeeds or not. I don't. Yeah, sure. He falls in love with Ryan. Yeah, sure. He has a business he wants to protect. Yeah, sure. Arwitz is an asshole. Yeah, sure. Garku is a knight. Garku is a knight that's also a jerk, right? The prince is also a jerk, right? And we all okay, yeah, we have a little sneak into what the next villain's going to be. Obviously, the next villain for the next story is going to be the prince, right? I hate to say it, but like I just not in love with the story. There's not enough fluff. There's not enough stuff to make me want to actually care about them. I don't care about Nearth. Oh yeah, Nearth gets well, either Nearth or Tirith that's gets married or whatever. But I don't remember because I don't care. I don't care about the wife. I don't care about the two men that live in the farm or whatever. I I don't care about the infernal Templar. He's cool. He sounds badass. I actually care about more. Actually, no. Technically speaking, I actually care more about him, his story, because like we, you tell us that like, oh, he's going to out to fight someone, right? And he just disappears, right? Okay, okay, fine. This is not about the infernal Templar. This is about the Artificer, right? This is about Craft's story. But like, I'm just like left with so many like, okay, why should I care? Why should I care? Why should I care about Ryan? Okay, she used to be a part of something. Oh, she's apparently an angel. Okay, but why should I care? Is there actual interest? I mean, I do care about Ryan, but like I feel like there's I I don't know why if anything the if anything the character arc that I've been through is the semicolons. I don't mean to be mocking, but it's just kind of funny. It's just the it's it's a nice story. It's well written. It's great. It's just I don't care. But with that being said, at least it's not Shad's story. It's I continued reading because I wanted to find out if there was something to care about, and that is something that is there. That I'll give credit to the story. Shad's story, there's nothing in that story, despite having fluff. That's another thing. It has fluff. It has stuff that's happening, right? For me to potentially care about the story. But the problem is, it's every but everything that does happen in that story, the side quests and whatnot, right? It makes me just want to drop the story and just like I don't. It makes like that. There's two sides of the story where like two sides of the coin where like sometimes fluff can carry the story, right? We're not carry the story, can help enrich. There, that's where there's nothing enriching the story. The fluff can enrich the story, enrich the character growth, enrich me caring about the town, me caring about the other town, me caring about the other town, right? Other than protecting himself, why should I care about him killing the wyverns? um, there's none of that, right? Now, oddly enough, I'm still going to read the sequel. I'm not just because of like, oh, he's a YouTuber I support or whatever, or something like that. Oh, something online. It's because I do have a curious mind. I'm curious about where this will continue. It's because of the fact that I'm curious enough to care about Prince, who is Prince Bison. I want to know about what his future will hold. Will he screw over the god, the trickster god? Will he, will he do things? Will he get what he wants? Will Kraft have his freedom? Will he free the land of Aquaj? I am curious about that. That's, that's, something that I will give credit to Raymond McNeil, aka the Celtic Phoenix. It's just because I do care about the end goals, right? I do care about the end goals and whatnot. I just don't care about the world that they live in. I don't care about the characters enough. And so that's that. That's the it's that probably sounds bad, and I hope he fixes that in the next one, or he fixes that in his side stories. I will read his side stories because I'm interested. I'm curious, and this is something I want to learn more about. And it's just that's the important part. That's his weakness of the stories. I do not care. I only you've gotten me in the situation where I care about the ending, what will happen in the end. That's that's good. That's good. I will say that. You got me in a situation where I cared enough to find out what happened in the end, right? You got me curious enough. You got me lured like a pig, I guess, to care enough about what is happening, what will happen next. Will I? And then, of course, the question was, will I care about this? And so, yeah, that's something I will praise this the story so far. Um, Again, I will go into much more detail tomorrow with the epilogue. But anyways, I've got to go. I am running out of time. I'm also running out of battery. So yeah, I'll wrap things up tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow. Hopefully the next stream or whatever. Whenever the next time most likely tomorrow. But hopefully I'll wrap things up with the Artificer, and I'll to basically bottom line finish the epilogue. So stay tuned for all that. Subscribe and all that jazz. And likewise, bye bye.